Few people who hate Owen Benjamin. Okay, um, I'm fine with it. Obviously, I mean, he's caused enough trouble in my life, and I think that God uh, specifically harasses, make sure or allows people to harass um, other people who are in positions of influence in order to keep them humble and to perfect their sanctity and things like that. And no one has rejected the leadership of God in recent times, so I'm fine with that. I mean, that's why God invented the demons. I'm not going to argue with God about the demons, you know? So, but for all you people that hate him, you have to understand you don't have any, um, you don't have any moral high ground or any sign of greater wisdom because you hated him like a false god uh, before other people. Because, first of all, that's not an appropriate way to treat him. He's not a false god. There are people who worship him like God, but he does not act like a god, and he's not altogether. It's just not appropriate to do that. It's fine to approach him the way I've approached him, with respect, and then with disagreement when he misbehaves and everything like that. And you should have a degree of charity with people that you guys specifically do not have. And so morally, you are inferior to me. By wisdom, you are inferior to me because everything you've told me about Owen, I already knew from the beginning, and I can discern where you're wrong, where you're right, and you don't understand that I knew that and was able to deal with him honestly anyways because I'm a mature adult that doesn't worship any potential father figure that appears on the internet like you people mostly are. So, not all of you, but mostly all of you. Um, so you guys actually are at, you know, from the rules of honor, you should approach me with respect. I don't have to approach you with respect because you've always treated me terribly. Some of the first interactions I had with you was threatening to rape my wife, insulting my wife, attack from you guys terribly. My wife was crying every day because all of a sudden we were getting insane messages, threatening all kinds of things, which I've detailed already. And I had just prayed to God in a Catholic church at an empty confessional. I did the act of, um, I forget what it's called, but the one you typically do at a confession. And I asked him to remove my pride from me. And um, immediately after that, Owen said, well, if you write me a handwritten apology, you know, all the troubles will go away. And so I did that because I wanted to not be prideful. And if you actually listen to the way I wrote that apology letter, it wasn't dishonest. It wasn't um, it wasn't flattering or anything like that. I said, "This is why I did what I did. I apologize for a degree of jealousy to your moderators, but anything else I wasn't jealous about. And I'm asking you to help me with these people who are harassing us, who are your enemies, not our enemies. They have come after us just because you brought me up in a live stream. And Owen never helped us with that. He never did anything. So that whole thing just served to um, condemn him before God, essentially. And his whole response to that letter was pretty gay, where he just took my wife's song and played it like that's what we wanted. That's not what we wanted. But you guys really need to, that you whole group of people really need to be more discerning. Like you need to listen to specifically. There are some of you who are, but like I noticed the whole Reddit string about me never went anywhere because the people in that community were like, why do you guys hate this guy? He's just a normal Christian guy who just got married, you know. It's like he seems like an all right guy. I saw someone say that. It's like, you guys need to be more. You need to understand that Owen is not this great big false god who everyone who follows him is a an idiot that deserves castigation to the extreme. You can't act like that. Just because somebody does something wrong, there's not one response for that, like burn him and burn all his followers. You know what I mean? That's not appropriate. I was never this, sycophantic, blind, immature follower of Owen. I was always a very mature follower of Owen that was very specific about what I agreed with and said out of respect that I mostly didn't talk about what I disagreed with him, which is how you should treat people like that. So I never once was the the caricature that you guys paint of a blind Owen follower. You guys have to understand that. And you have to have a minimum degree of respect, which I'm giving to you, and you have to return to me if you want to talk to me. Do you notice how I don't treat every one of you as a member of a group? I do sometimes condemn you by your association. And I say you shouldn't associate with that person or that person because of the way they've treated me, or otherwise I can't have you in my chat or emailing me or any of this. But especially recently, I've pretty much dealt with you all as individuals, given you a lot of mercy, and am waiting to see you grow up because God has given you an opportunity to enter back into the world of normal people who know how to talk to each other. I am giving you clear instruction about how to do that, and I'm waiting for you guys to take the opportunity. Why would you troll? It's like that's not Christian behavior to harass somebody for like a really gross form of self-pleasure that most normal human beings don't get any pleasure over. Like, what's going on in your life that's how you spend your time? You know what I'm saying? So you should probably overcome that. And listen, if you have an excess of time, send me an email. I've got things you can work on that would be productive, that you could make money off of, that would help you, grow as a Christian, and that you don't have to spend your time trolling. Okay? But I do appreciate you at least having something of a commitment to truth and honor, and not going against me, as you say. So, but yeah, I mean, trolling is not Christian behavior. So I hope you've overcome that as a person. I mean, it's not only that it's not Christian behavior, it's not like mature civilian behavior. It's like that's a very like teenager and like degenerate teenager way to act. I don't know why people think that the internet. Listen, when I was a kid, there was a brief period of time I moved around so much, so it was hard to keep friends, and I became an influencer rather than one of those who was influenced. So I didn't like walk around, with my own lingo as like a part of a little teenage, pack of wolves or whatever. But when there was a period of time I was like that, and we all had our lingo, and we thought we were so smart. And then it's like you meet like somebody who's like 25 years old with like an axe who's just cutting wood, for firewood, and you're like, hey, what's up? I can't even remember some of the wording, but some of my friends are like, what's up, dog? And shit like that. It'd be like, the guy would be like, who the hell are you? Get out of here. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta get like a job and stuff. You gotta learn how to act like a normal person. And then you can succeed in this life, in this world that hates you, hates your guts, and just wants to see you dead. And you can actually pull it off if you learn how to not like become this anarchistic loser. Just saying. You know what I mean? But congrats for at least being um, moral enough not to go after a random Christian guy. You know what I mean? Because I'm not this public figure. I'm just a guy who's watching YouTube videos. Was watching Owen because I liked him because he revealed certain things that, you know, the Catholic Church reveals. It's not that impressive anymore, but I still appreciate the fact that he did it. Um,
How about how
because I
many
wouldn't have listened
pedophiles
to
there
the
were in our
Catholic
town?
Church at the time.
Well, it was all. I
And
mean, you know,
I
not to, it's
realized
a
that
hacky
his
joke, but it was all the
followers
priests. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
did
Every
not
last one
know
of
the
them.
content of the
And the
Bible, and so I started reading it for the Bears. And then my natural nature of wanting to produce, wanting to create beautiful works, and realizing that there was talented people amongst the Bears, I formed a publishing company. Um, Originally, I was talking to my wife about um, doing an audiobook before we were married, and then she ended up getting attacked by people who were Bears, and so I fended them off. So from the beginning, and this is a guy who's like, you know, fist fights in person, who's decided against his better judgment to join the internet because I could do good and you know, be public and give people advice. And so it's like the idea of not of me as a 6 foot tall, you know, guy with some weight behind him not being able to just punch somebody who's harassing a woman unjustly. Um, but I have to put out 3 hour long videos condemning their character, and I have to plot their downfall for 6 months. You know, it's not necessarily my preferred. I'd rather just fight them, but you can't do that. You know, it doesn't. It's not practical. We're not in the same location, and so and it wouldn't solve the problem. But you know, I was just a normal guy, and here was a woman who I was courting at the time because I had told her privately and not bragged about it. And I said, let's court. Let's just make sure that we get to know each other for the purpose of marriage and don't try to pursue pleasure in any way, but just get to know what we would be like if we were married together. And so we were courting, and then she gets attacked, and me as a normal guy, I was like, fuck that. You know, I don't care if you're a bear or, you know, I don't care if you're Owen Benjamin himself. You don't get to treat this girl this way. And so I blew all those people out of the Bears over the course of, you know, 6 months. There's still a few of them around. And it's just acting like normal men should act. Just because I was loosely associated with Owen, you and the people around you became this crazy hive of calumny, of slander, of threat, of intimidation. And the Bears did it too. So it's not just you guys. I understand the Bears are crazy like that too, but you guys are too. I see what you say. I see what you say about me on Reddit. So, and my wife. You know. And you're especially David Kralko was the worst one. I mean, at this point, I mean, you are more insidious, but old Kralko, I mean, I didn't even know the guy, and he said these disgusting things about my wife that I would celebrate if he showed up on the news dead tomorrow, which wouldn't be very surprising based off of the way he is and where he lives and stuff like that. I mean, it's just not uncommon for effeminate men like that to just get killed. And then I was afraid for months that all of a sudden my boss would call me in and say, hey, we got a call from this guy, and you know, has been saying things about you. Well, and at the same time, I was afraid of other people who were legitimately mentally crazy who could just show up and try to shoot me at my house. So now, you know, time showed me that you all are pretty much just teenagers making prank calls. I didn't realize that at the time. You know, most people who even see a little bit of that threats and like crazy threats and things, they just get off the internet, which I never did because I'm not a coward, and it wouldn't have solved the problem also. Well, here's the thing though, is that is not a strategy or a tactic that God promotes. you can go all through God's Bible and all through the story of the saints and anybody who's been a good figure, even in the Protestant church, and nobody spent their time mocking extremely sinful people as a way of serving God and fighting for Christendom. Christians have always been known for open, honest warfare, and the West has been too. The West, which is the civilization that led the whole world and conquered the whole world, was known specifically for open and honest warfare, which is a thing unheard of across the whole world. That's why Sun Tzu said the essence of war is deception. In the West, it wasn't. In the West, Greeks would get together and they'd say, let's fight on this land because it's the most level land and see who's the strongest. And that's a very Western idea. And the Christian church is very well known for that. The Romans were well known for that. But the Christian church is. That's how we fight. There might be times where we act deceptively, but it's always with prayer for mercy, because we understand that God does not promote those things. And so it's just not the right approach. And what you'll find will happen is you will become just as degenerate as those people. The same people who are complaining about Owen using gay imagery to the point of almost being pornographic, or really honestly being pornographic, are the same people who do the exact same thing when they talk about him. So, that's what will happen to your character. There's a way of dealing with these people, and yeah, you have to be public. You have to be always willing to give an answer, but you don't spend your time harassing and mocking them. God specifically condemns mockers, and yes, that applies to Owen too. And it's always been something I was uneasy with Owen, and you can see now how it has degenerated his character. I'm always going to be the guy, and a lot of people get upset with me because I'm tireless. I work all the time. I'm always going to be the guy that tells you how you could be better, as long as I can sense that you have some energy left for it. I will tell you how you could be better. And for you, I recommend getting away from mockery and putting your hands to useful work. So, if if it isn't time consuming, whatever, I get it. Just, that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Alright, it's good seeing you. Everyone have a good one. Bye. And by gangs.